Now in the case if your RE is unbypassed, so your RE will remain into the circuit. Now as we had said, we'll find out for FLCC1. Now FLCC1 is given as 1 upon 2 pi RCC1, R into CC1. There is a printing mistake over here. It will be nothing but R into CC1 over here. Now what do we mean by R? That means you will start at this point of your this plate or any plate. You can start with any plate of the capacitor, and you start with this plate of the capacitor. You take a circle and then you come back again to that point, and come back to the another plate of the capacitor, and you pick up all the resistances in between. Now while you are at this point, you start your journey from this point. So you say you have RS, then you come back at this point, you come at this point. Now can I say at this point it is nothing but RB parallel this entire series over here, this entire junction over here. Now this junction was being solved in our AC analysis as by Ghus method. So you start your journey inside, getting inside the line over here. You go up till the bottom line, and then you take a U-turn. You try to come back and pick up all the resistances in your path and add it up in series with R pi. So can I say it will be nothing but R pi plus 1 plus beta Re. Now this entire configuration R pi plus 1 plus beta Re is in parallel with this RB, and this entire junction, entire configuration over here is in series with RS. So your equation turns out to be RS plus RB parallel R pi into R pi plus 1 plus beta into RE over here. As you can see over here, it is being modified over here in a very simplified way. Now we'll calculate for CC2 over here. Now calculation for CC2 is quite simple. If RL is given, then your CC2 turns out to be 1 upon 2 pi RCC2, wherein your R is nothing but you start from one plate of the capacitor and you come back to the another plate. It is nothing but RC parallel your RL over here. Now case 2, if RL is not given, then in this case R cannot be calculated, hence we cannot find FLCC2 over here. Now calculation for FLCE. Now case 1, that is nothing but your RE is totally bypassed over here. One thing that we need to understand, that when your RE is bypassed, that means your RE is having CE connection across it, and there won't be any CC1 this time, but there will be a presence of RS over here, and the input needs to be shorted over here. Now do please pay attention. Up till now our Ghus method started from this point. तो हम यहाँ पे जो भी आ रहे थे ना बेटा, हम अंदर आ रहे थे और फिर ऐसे अंदर से एकदम अंदर से बाहर जा रहे थे. Now what will we do? We'll start our journey from this point, and we'll come back from बाहर से अंदर आएंगे बेटा. So initially when we came from up to down, that is when we returned our journey from your emitter to base, we multiplied this resistance RE or the one which was present over here in we multiplied this resistance RE with 1 plus beta over here. Now when you will be coming from up to down, when you are transferring your resistances from your base to emitter, आप जब यहाँ से यहाँ होगे बेटा, then at that point you will divide this entire configuration by 1 plus beta, and you will connect it in parallel across RE. मतलब RE के across यहाँ पे there will be a parallel connection of this entire configuration, or I would say the equivalent circuit over here. Now can I say, first of all, this is nothing but RS parallel RB. So this will be nothing but RS parallel RB plus R pi upon 1 plus beta, which is in parallel to RE. So when you are finding out the FLCE, it is nothing but 1 upon 2 pi RCE, wherein your R is given as RS parallel RB plus your R pi upon 1 plus beta, that is nothing but the one when you transfer your resistance from your base to your emitter, which is in parallel with RE. If your RB is not given, then it is simply RS plus R pi upon 1 plus beta into parallel with RE. If RS is equals to 0, then your RB is given as RE is equals to R pi upon 1 plus beta in parallel with RE. Case 2, suppose if your RE is partially bypassed as in the circuit diagram over here, then what happens is, let's see the AC analysis for that also, so that it becomes easier for my students to understand. Now in that case, if this is the circuit diagram over here, so can I say this entire configuration will remain the same? It will be nothing but RS plus RB, RS parallel RB plus R pi, which is in series with RE1, and then this entire configuration is being parallel with RE2. So this is nothing but RS parallel RB plus R pi, upon 1 plus beta, which is in parallel to what do you say, upon 1 plus beta plus RE1. The entire thing is in parallel to what do you say, RE2. Hence your FLCE is given as 1 upon 2 pi RC, wherein your R is given as RS parallel RB plus R pi upon 1 plus beta. The whole thing is connected in parallel between these 2 points, and it if you start this journey, then it will be nothing but this parallel this plus this, so this will be nothing but plus RE1 in parallel with RE2 over here. So these are the three types of what do you say, FLC, that we need to calculate. In the next part we'll be starting up with the numericals. So yes, please do be ready with your calci so that it becomes easier for the students to what do you say, to understand. Up till then, please do be safe. Thank you. Now over here there is a numerical which is based on low pass frequency over here. Now a low frequency over here. For the amplifier shown, calculate the input and the output resistance, the voltage gain, and the lower cutoff frequency, that is nothing but FL. If such a kind of numerical do appear in paper, it will be definitely asked for a minimum 10 marks. Now as you can see over here, now just a moment, but let me adjust. Now as you can see, first of all, what we need to do is you will be given a circuit diagram, and then you need to perform some DC and the AC analysis on the respective diagram. Now, so first of all, we'll perform a DC analysis, and we'll what do we do in DC analysis is we open all the capacitors and we draw the DC equivalent circuit. So your DC equivalent circuit might look something like this, or in another words, this is nothing but like a mother circuit. So माँ का आशीर्वाद यहाँ पे आने वाला है बेटा. So yes, a mother circuit is expected over here, and what do you say, Maa ka Ashirwad is also expected. Your RB will be given as R1 parallel R2, and your VCC and your V will be given as VCC into R2 upon R1 plus R2 over here. Now for a PD bias, remember the following standard formula is, first of all, Maa ka pehla Ashirwad is nothing but RB, which is given by what do you say, R1 parallel R2. Then you have V, which is nothing but Maa ka dusra Ashirwad, which is given as VCC into R2 upon R1 plus R2. Then you have IBQ, which is equals to V minus VBE upon RB plus 1 plus beta into RE. Then you have ICQ which is nothing but beta IB, and you have IE which is nothing but IB plus IC over here. Calculation of for AC parameters, the formula is very much straightforward. You have R pi as voltage upon current ka formula. Voltage is nothing but VT, which is given by 26 millivolt over here, and over here it is given as IBQ. The GM, the trans conductance value, is given as current upon voltage, which is nothing but ICQ upon 26 millivolt. Now first of all, the MFAC analysis which we were doing in the previous lectures, that it was very much simpler in nature. And MF analysis may we need to ask a question to ourselves, that is RE what do you say, bypassed, or is emitter connected to ground for AC? If the answer is yes, then we need to draw how much, bacha? 3 lines over here. If that is the case, then 3, 1, 2 and 3 over here. The first terminal, the first component will be nothing but the resistance R pi. So R pi, then RB, and then since we have RS and VS over here, we'll be including them into a circuit diagram, RS and VS over here. Then over here we have GM pi. Then यहाँ पे GM pi can also be written as beta IB, and यहाँ पे we have RC. Are we being given load resistor? Yes, we are being given RL. So your output current IO will flow through RL from नीचे से ऊपर, but we measure voltage from ऊपर से नीचे, hence VO के साथ negative sign. And let us first of all start with the impedances. If I am standing over here and I am looking into the network, बेटा मैं अंदर देख रहा हूँ, सर्किट डायग्राम के अंदर देख रहा हूँ बेटा. सो अंदर दिखेगा तो बेटा अगर मैं यहाँ पे खड़ा हूँ तो मुझे अंदर देख रहा हूँ मैं, तो मुझे एक रेजिस्टेंस दिख रहा है R pi. सो योर ZB विल बी नथिंग बट R pi over here. Now coming a step behind, if I am standing over here and if I am looking into the network, बेटा मैं नेटवर्क के अंदर देख रहा हूँ, अंदर बेटा अंदर देख रहा हूँ. सो यहाँ पे इफ आई एम नेमिंग इट एज ZI, so it is nothing but RB parallel R pi, and then if I come one step back, then it is named as Zn, which is equals to RS plus ZI over here. Similarly, if I come over here, the value of output impedance ZO is given by what do you say, ZO is equals to RC, and ZO dash is nothing but RC parallel RL. Now the value of voltage gain is given by VAV, which is nothing but VO by VI, which is nothing but minus GM into ZO dash. ZO dash is nothing but RC parallel RL. If RL is not given, it is simply RC over here. V pi gets cancelled over here. If it is being told to find out in the formula of AVS, then what do you say, AVS is given as minus GM into ZO dash into ZI by Zin. Now ZI by Zn is nothing but Vi by Vs, or in another terms, what do you say, we can equate it that Vi is equals to Zi by Zi plus Rs into Vs. So your Vi by Vs is nothing but Zi by Zn over here. Now LFAC analysis. Since what do you say, LFAC analysis. Now in AC analysis, your CE do remain into the circuit diagram. The main circuit diagram goes something like this. This is the actual diagram. Then while drawing the LFAC analysis equivalent circuit diagram, for AC we short the DC supplies, and since we are doing for LF, so at LF your capacitors are present into the circuit diagram, they are not grounded, hence your LF remains into the circuit diagram, hence we don't need to short the capacitors. Now since for LF, if you ask the question, since your capacitor is present, what do you say, since your capacitor is present, emitter terminal is not connected to ground over here, hence we draw 4 lines over here, hence 1 2 3 and 4 over here beta, as we had discussed in what do you say, BJT ka AC analysis over there. Now students should note that the input is shorted, as you can see over here, the input is being shorted over here, and the current source over here is open. This is because we have to find FLCC1 or FLCC2 and FLCE. We have to find the resistance over there. Now first of all, FLCC1 over here, FLCC1 is given as 1 upon 2 pi RCC1. So while finding FLCC1, that is the lower cutoff frequency due to CC1, we need to short the rest of the capacitors. So over here your CE will be shorted and your CC2 will be shorted. Either ways, your CC2 doesn't take part into your calculation for CC1 because it is nowhere connected into the diagram. So by default it is chutta cheda, and your CC2 is not connected, and your CE is short circuited, hence your RE becomes redundant over here. Now if you start from one plate of the capacitor and you come back to the another plate, the formula will be RS plus your RB parallel R pi over here, which is nothing but which is written over here. Now your what do you say, your FLCE is given by 1 upon 2 pi RCE, wherein your circuit to find FLCE is written over here. If you consider this diagram over here, it is just a normal simplification, as we had done it in the analysis part in the previous lecture. It was nothing but RS parallel RB plus R pi. This entire thing is what do you say, in parallel with your RE over here. Hence it is being what do you say, it is being shifted, or it is being what do you say, shifted from your base to emitter, hence it is being divided by 1 plus beta over here. Beta is nothing but HFE, hence your RX is nothing but RS parallel RB plus R pi upon 1 plus HFE in parallel to what do you say, RE. Hence what do you say, we just say that we have transferred the resistance Rx to emitter and connected between emitter and ground, therefore FLCC2. Now we need to find out FLCC2. FLCC2 was quite simple in nature, that you start from one plate of the capacitor and you come back to the another plate. So the formula is nothing but FLCC2 is 1 upon 2 pi RCC2, where R is nothing but RC plus RL. So amongst the three, we need to select the highest as FL over here. Now let us proceed for some more advanced type of numerical, so that it becomes easier for the students to understand the concept. Now for the amplifier shown, calculate AV and FL if HI is, that is nothing but R pi, and HFE, that is nothing but 100 respectively. Now apart from that, we are not given anything else. We just need to find out AV and FL. So let's see how can we proceed. Now DC analysis not required because AC parameters are given. First of all, we don't need to perform any kind of DC analysis since the AC parameters are directly given over here, that your R pi and beta is 100. Now MFAC analysis, we draw MFAC equivalent circuit. Now since your since your emitter is not connected to ground, we have partially bypassed RE over here, and in that case your emitter terminal is not connected to ground directly, therefore we will have 1, 2, 3 and 4 lines over here. If you look carefully from this point to this point, it is getting shorted in AC via your CE, hence your RE2 is not present over here in the circuit diagram, as you can short mention over here. Now the resistance present over here is R pi, the resistance present over here is RE1. Since we don't have any output load resistance, the output current flows through RC from niche se upar, hence and VO is measured from upar se niche, hence VO will have a negative sign or your gain would have a negative sign. And the input, at the input we don't have an RS and a VS over here, so it will be simply RB and your R pi over here at the input. Now let us start with the impedances. If you look carefully, you have an impedance ZB के लिए आप यहाँ से entry करोगे बेटा. You start your journey from within this point Gus method से, and you will go inside and up till this point. Then over here it is not being ground terminal मिला. Then he will take a return back and come and try to come back to this point. So while coming back, he will try to pick up any resistance connected between emitter and ground, and apply that resistance by multiplying it with 1 plus beta and in series with R pi over here. So the formula for ZB will be nothing but R pi plus 1 plus beta into RE1 over here. So your AV, which is equals to your VO by VI. Now your ZB is given as R pi plus 1 plus beta into RE1. Your ZI will be nothing but RB parallel ZB. Similarly your ZO will be nothing but RC. Straightforward beta, no shortcuts over here, very much simpler. Now as I had said that your ZB will be nothing but RI parallel ZB. Your AV is given as VO by VI, which is nothing but minus of beta into RC, minus beta IB into RC upon IB into ZB. Your IB gets cancelled out and you are left out with only minus beta into RC upon ZB. Now LF AC analysis. Since we want to do AC analysis, we will draw 4 lines over here. For AC analysis, we'll short all the DC sources, and LF, that means we don't short the capacitors over here. Since we are finding out the different FL, equivalent resistances in series with capacitors are to be evaluated. Short input voltage source and open current source. That means यहाँ पे बेटा ये short हो जाएगा input आपका, and the current source that is present over here will be open now. Now the first formula that the first cutoff LF FL that we need to find out is due to CC1. It is given as 1 upon 2 pi into R into CC1 with your CE shorted. That means ये short हो गया बेटा और ये तो वैसे ही open था. So the formula would be simply RB. क्या आएगा बेटा, क्या लगता है आपको? It will be simply RB. Try to develop a formula. Start entering from this port and come come back again. So it will be nothing but RB R pi plus RE1 into 1 plus beta, because this will be shorted. So if you look carefully over here, it will be nothing but RB parallel R pi plus 1 plus beta into RE1. So your R for FLCC1 is simply RB parallel R pi plus 1 plus R pi plus 1 plus beta into RE1. Now for FLCE, if you look into the diagram, so your FLCE diagram looks something like this. You start from this point of the capacitor and you come back to the another point. It is not simply RE2. At this point you need to take into consideration this resistance is also. You start your journey from andar se bahar, and while coming from while taking a U-turn from this point, whatever resistance you pick up from this, between this from base to emitter, you take that resistor and divide it by 1 plus beta. So the resistance that is present between base and emitter is given as R pi. So it is given as r pi upon 1 plus beta, which is in parallel to re1, which is again the entire r pi upon 1 plus beta plus re1. The entire connection is in parallel to what do you say, your re2 over here. So the formula of r for FLCE, that is nothing but 1 upon 2 pi RCE, will be nothing but r, which is equals to r pi upon 1 plus beta plus re1, the whole into parallel of re2. FLCC2 is simple, since it is given as 1 upon 2 pi RCC2. Since what do you say, RL is not given, or RL is not known, R for FL2 cannot be evaluated. So now out of what do you say, FLCC1 and FLCE, we need to select the highest as your FL over here. That is nothing but the lower cutoff frequency. Now let us also get it done with the LF analysis of a JFET of what do you say, CS amplifier, so that it becomes easier for the students to perform AC analysis of the same. As you might be remembering, we don't have a resistance R pi over here, and what do you say, the input resistance Rg is present. Now if you are having a Vs over here, then over here it is not simply Rs, it is given as Rsi, that is nothing but input source resistance. Now the calculation for FLCC1 over here is given by when Rs is bypassed, it is given as 1 upon 2 pi RCC1, where R, if you look carefully over it is nothing but Rs1, Rsi or Rs1 plus your Rg over here. If you take a round loop over here from one plate, from this plate of the capacitor to this plate of the capacitor in a circular way, so it will be nothing but Rs plus Rg over here. When your Rs is unbypassed, it is what do you say, same as that of case 1 over here, so don't need to worry about it, it is still the same formula. Calculation for FL, what do you say, when RS is unbypassed, same as case 1, that is the present formula over here. Calculation for FLCC2 over here, the formula becomes a little bit tedious now. Now when you are calculating it for what do you say, CC2 over here, then at that point you need to short CS over here, and this will be open. So in that case, your RD, the chotu RD will be in parallel to capital RD plus your capital RL. So your Rs will be not, so your Rs is bypassed, so it becomes what is 1 upon 2 pi RCC2, which is equals to RD, chotu RD, parallel capital RD plus RL. Now in case if your Rs is unbypassed, that means your Rs is present into the diagram, so your FLCC2 is calculated as 1 upon 2 pi RCC2, where R is given as Rs into 1 plus GMRD. This is the standard formula beta, please do remember that. It is Rs into 1 plus GMRD plus your chotu RD, which is entirely parallel to capital RD, then it is being added to your RL over here. Now calculation for FLCS, this is where the students make mistake beta. Now if it is FLCS, that means what do you say, it you short this what do you say, capacitor over here. Now whenever you look into the you short this capacitor over here beta, यहाँ पे आप ये वाला capacitor को short कर देते हो. Now whenever you what do you say, look into the what do you say, the input, whenever you look into the source resistance over here, you don't only look Rs, it is always given as 1 by Gm in parallel to Rs. Now how is that formula derived? Let me give you a brief cut over here. Now over here it is simply, I'll start with if this part is shorted, can I say it is nothing but RL parallel capital RD at this point. At this point it is nothing but RL parallel capital RD plus chotu RD. The entire thing is in parallel to Rs, so it will be nothing but, it will always have a divider factor like 1 plus beta in case of BJT, and over here it will be nothing but 1 plus GM into RD. So यहाँ पे it will be nothing but, at this point it is nothing but RD parallel RL. If you start again from this point, it is nothing but RD parallel RL, then plus chotu RD, this entire configuration divided by 1 plus GM RD, and then entire thing is in parallel to Rs over here. So the formula is written over here, it is given as what do you say, RL parallel what do you say, I'll keep it with the diagram so that it becomes easier. Just a moment. I hope the diagram is visible over here. Now your RL is parallel to your Rs over here. your RS is parallel to over here, what do you say, the connection over here, the entire configuration over here. It is nothing but RD plus what do you say, RD parallel RS. This entire configuration is taken in parallel over here, or in another words, it is transferred from your drain to your source. So it is being divided by a certain term called as 1 plus GMRD, which is being written over here, that 1 plus GMRD over here. Hence it is given parallel to this. Now RL, we will try to reduce the formula. So your RL is parallel to RL parallel RD is much smaller than your Chotu RD, wherein we did say that Chotu RD was nothing but the output resistance in case of a JFET. So your R is now being reduced to RD upon 1 plus GM into RD parallel to RS now. But of course your GM into RD will be much bigger in or in another words, now your GMRD over here is much greater than 1. So your 1 can be discarded, and RD upon GMRD is nothing but 1 upon GM into parallel to RS. So whenever you see a resistance in source, it is not simply given by RS, it is given as 1 by GM into parallel to RS over here. So yes, that was for what do you say, GM, that was for what do you say, LF analysis of JFET, that is nothing but CS amplifier. Now we'll begin a new topic called as HF analysis of amplifier, by starting with the Miller theorem, one of the most important theorem in high frequency what do you say, analysis, and it becomes easier for us to understand when it is quite self-explanatory. So yes, now what do we mean by Miller theorem is, what does the Miller theorem say? I'll simply read the statement and then I'll make you understand. But before that, just understand the concept that what do we mean by input capacitance or input resistance, and what do we mean by output resistance. Now suppose this is my house over here, and मेरे घर पे मैं नहीं चाहता कि भाई मेहमान आए. So can I say my input resistance should be as high as it could be? Now similarly, अगर suppose मेरे घर पे मेहमान आ गए, अगर मेरे घर पे कुछ आ गया, वोल्टेज या करंट आ गया, तो सिमिलरली कैन आई नॉट एक्सपेक्ट कि भाई वो मेहमान जल्दी से चले भी जाए. सो इन अनदर वर्ड्स, आई डोंट यू थिंक आई वुड एक्सपेक्ट दैट माई आउटपुट रेजिस्टेंस शुड बी एज लो एज पॉसिबल. सो in ideal condition, if my my input resistance is increasing, it is much good, wherein your output resistance is decreasing, it is much good. So भाई मैं नहीं चाहूँगा कि भाई मेरे घर पे एक्स्ट्रा कंपोनेंट या एक्स्ट्रा मेहमान रहे. Similarly, it is being applied to what do you say, an amplifier. You would expect that your input resistance should be high and your output resistance should be low. So how did your Miller theorem help in that? So let's see first of all what is the Miller theorem, and then we'll come to the conclusion that why it is important. Now the topic comes under HF analysis of amplifier. That is what do you say, one of the important topics when it comes to frequency response. Now what does Miller theorem says? That Miller theorem says that if a capacitor C is connected between the input and the output terminals of an amplifier with a gain A, then the capacitor C can be splitted up in two parts, the one at the input and one at the output. The one at the input can be called as CMI, or I would say input Miller capacitance. Similarly, the one at the output will be called as output Miller capacitance. Now CMI is given by a certain formula. We'll derive that formula, don't worry. Similarly, CMO is also given by a formula, C into A minus 1 upon A. Again a formula which we are going to derive very much shortly. Now over here, then the capacitor C can be splitted up in two parts, CMI and what do you say, CMO. Now wherein CMO is the Miller output capacitance and CMI is the input Miller capacitance. Now looking at the figure 1 over here, if you can look very carefully. Now over here you can look. Now your IC is given as the output current which is given by VI minus VO upon minus of JXC. If you look over here, यहाँ से जो current जा रहा है बेटा, so it can be simply said that VI minus VO upon the imaginary upon the reactance term of the capacitance, which is given by minus of J into XC. So now your A is given as VO by VI. So can I say your VO will be nothing but A into VI over here. So now instead of VO over here, can I substitute A into VI? So your formula changes to be IC is equals to your formula changes to be IC, which is equals to VI minus A into VI upon minus of J into XC, which is equals to VI into A minus 1 minus A into upon minus of J into XC. Therefore, your VI upon IC is given as is also told as capacitive reactance seen from the input terminal है बेटा. Input terminal से जो दिखता है वो आपका capacitive reactance है, which is given as minus of J into XC upon 1 minus A, which can be also written as minus of J into brackets 1 upon 2 pi f into C, what do you say, 1 minus A. Now can I replace this C 1 upon C into 1 minus A as nothing. This entire thing is representing reactance 1 upon 2 pi fc के format में, so it can be simply written as minus of J into x CMI, or the reactance of the input Miller capacitance or Miller input capacitance. So your CMI turns out to be 1 minus A into C over here, if you compare this into this with CMI over here. Now looking into the terminals 2 2 dash, the current flowing through the capacitor can be written as IC, which is equals to VO minus VI upon minus J into XC. Therefore A is equals to VO by VI. Therefore your VI will be given as VO by A. Now your IC is given by what do you say, VO minus VI. VI is written in the format of VO by A. So now over here your VO is taken common and it is being written in the format of 1 minus 1 upon A upon minus of JXC, which is equals to VO into brackets A minus 1 upon A, which is equals to minus J into XC. Therefore your VO by IC is given as minus J into XC upon A minus 1 upon A, which is equals to minus of J. Now this XC can be written as 1 upon 2 pi के format में, 2 pi f के format में, and what do you say, 1 upon 2 pi f into C into A minus 1 upon A. This entire term can be simply written as minus of J x what do you say, CMO over here. Therefore this what do you say, capacitance can be written as CMO, which is equals to C into A minus 1 upon A. सर ये करके क्या मिला, क्या खुशी क्या मिली सर अपने को. नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट आर वी व्हाट डू यू से. Now over here the Miller's theorem for inverting terminal, that is nothing but a CE amplifier. Now for the inverting amplifier your gain is negative, as we have always said that your CE amplifier always has a output phase inverted as compared to your input phase. So CMI mein the formula was nothing but what do you say, 1 minus A into C or C into 1 minus A. So if your A is what do you say, negative, so 1 minus of minus A will become 1 plus A into C. So now your input Miller capacitance is approximated to AC over here. A is nothing but the gain and C is nothing but the capacitance. Similarly your CMO is written as 1 minus A upon C upon minus A. Therefore substituting minus A and minus A over here, we get CMO is equals to A plus 1 upon A plus 1 into C upon A, which is almost equal to C. Sir, फर्क क्या पड़ा सर? Now let's see from these effects A and B over here. This is the effect B over here. Printing mistake beta, sorry. Now from the what do you say, from A and B we can see that for a negative gain, that is nothing but your CE amplifier, your CMI is much greater than C. बढ़िया, मजा आ गया. And your CMO is almost approximately equals to C. So your input capacitance increases. This increases. This increase in output in input capacitance is known as Miller effect. Hence your Miller effect is important because it increases your what do you say, input capacitance, and hence it is much more important. So yes, we'll what do you say, stop it here only, and in the next part we'll start with HF model of your BJT. So yes, up till then please be stay safe and thank you. Hello everyone, today we are going to start with the HF modeling of what you call the BJT, and post that we'll start with the HF model of what do you say, a MOSFET also. So yes, let's begin to develop an actual model of a BJT. So yes, the model, what do we mean by model is, a model is a two-port network, that is nothing but a TPN, which consists of RLC, voltage source and current source. Now each and every component in your BJT model represents either represents a physical phenomenon or a characteristic of the transistor. So by this we will be developing the what do you say, the model of the transistor. So yes, now first and foremost, let us develop the HF model of the transistor connected in the CE configuration. Now, since we have discussed over here that it is a CE configuration, that means the emitter terminal is common to both the input and the output, and in another word, the emitter terminal is common to the base over here and the collector terminal over here. And since we had studied AC analysis also, if we proceed for the AC analysis of a BJT in CE configuration, so if your RE, since RE is not present over here, your emitter is connected to ground directly, hence we will be drawing three lines over here. The three lines over here, the input current would be IB, the output current would be IC, the input voltage would be VBE, the output voltage would be VCE, and the emitter terminal is grounded and is common to both the input as well as the output side. Now if this is a cross section of what you say of a BJT from a side, wherein if you see that these are certain layers wherein this is a P substrate or nothing but the body. Inside that, the what do you say, the BJT is being embedded. Now the BJT is being what do you say, manufactured in such a way that it is NPN configuration. So now if you look carefully over here into the diagram, so this terminal is your collector, this one is your emitter, and this one is your base. And similarly over here, these are nothing but the emitter and the collector terminal. Please do remember that BJT has only three terminals, so either you consider the base, emitter, collector over here, or base, emitter, collector over here. It is just for representation purpose. Now as you can see over here, the base is connected to an internal point over here, which is being represented as the B dash over here. Sorry. Similarly, you have the emitter terminal being connected to an internal what do you say, E dash terminal over here, E dash. And similarly, the C terminal over here, that is the collector terminal, is connected to an internal point that is known as C dash over here. Now when this junction is being present, there is a small resistance when it crosses this line, and which is inside the what do you say, the actual material the actual material what do you say, कॉन्फ़िगरेशन. सिमिलरली ओवर योर एमिटर जो होगा आपका, वो जब एक सबस्ट्रेट के अंदर होगा तो उसका खुद का एक छोटा सा इंटरनल रेजिस्टर होगा. सिमिलरली द कलेक्टर टर्मिनल का खुद का एक छोटू सा इंटरनल रेजिस्टर होगा. हेंस let us see what is being what it is being described for. Your B dash, C dash and E dash are idealized internal base, collector and emitter. Your RB is nothing but the base spreading resistor, your a resistor between base terminal and an internal base. Similarly, RE and RC and RE can also be defined. Now these resistances are very small in nature. So if you have this diagram, from this model has been developed, wherein from B to B dash a small resistor known as RB or RBB dash is being developed. Similarly over here between C and C dash there is a chotu sa resistor called as RC, and between your emitter and the actual emitter terminal, which is ground over here, there is a presence of a small RE or internal resistor over here, or idealized I would say emitter spreading resistor, some chotu sa resistor beta. Now over here, as you can see that this is nothing but the forward characteristic of a diode. Now if you take a tangent of if you take a tangent at a certain point, then you get the slope over here. Inverse of slope of the input characteristic give you the input resistance over here. Since we have already studied the input characteristic, this is known as R pi, or I would say HIE, the value of which is in the range of certain kilo ohms. Now the same is being written over here, wherein the input characteristic of your BJT indicates that as your VBE increases, your IB increases. That means your input voltage increases, your input current increases exponentially. Now inverse of slope of the characteristic at a certain point named as Q point represents the input resistance of the BJT. This point is represented in the BJT by connecting a resistance between B dash and E dash. This is known as the input resistance of your BJT. Now HIE is given as the R pi, which is nothing but 1 upon slope, which is nothing but some change in VB upon some change in IB, keeping no change in output voltage, that is nothing but delta VC, which is equals to 0. The value of R pi ranges from 1 to 3 kilo ohms over here. Now if you look over here in the diagram, this BJT is being represented in a in a vertical format, wherein your NPN transistor is being connected. This N junction over here represents the emitter, this one represents the base, and this one represents the collector over here. Now if you're having an P and N and a P junction over here, then between the emitter and the base, the junction is known as JBE, which is forward bias. Hence there is no depletion region across it, or negligible depletion region across it. Similarly, if it is in the case of an output characteristic, that means when you're considering the output characteristics, then your your JBC, which is forward biased, will be giving you a result into output character into a depletion region which is of considerable amount. So yes, your JBC का presence will create a sufficient, or I would say एक दिखने वाला depletion region over here. The input voltage is VB, the output voltage is VC. Now let's increase the VCE voltage. Now if you increase your VCE, now when you increase your VCE, that is nothing but when you increase your VCE over here, the width of the depletion region, that is nothing but D over here, increases. Now if when you increase VC, your D increases. If your D increases, therefore this B, that is nothing but your width of the base, decreases. उतना region छोटा हो जाएगा बेटा. Therefore electron and hole recombination in the base region would decrease. If that is the case, if the electron and hole recombination over here decreases, that means less number of electrons will be now diffusing from your emitter to base, and then and then from here to here to the collector over here. Similarly, if अगर यहाँ से यहाँ जाने पे कम इलेक्ट्रॉन रिकम्बाइन हो रहे हैं होल के साथ, दैट मीन्स मोर नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आर अवेलेबल और वेकेंट ओवर और फ्री इलेक्ट्रॉन विच विल बी ड्रिफ्टेड टू सी अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ अ पोटेंशियल बैरियर विच इज जनरेटेड ओवर here, which I haven't drawn in the diagram. Now this potential diagram, this increase in this increases your IC. It means as you increase your VCE, your IC also increases. Now this is due to early effect, and it provides the slope of the characteristic. This phenomenon is shown in the model by connecting a resistance R0, that is nothing but your output resistance, between C dash and E dash over here, that is nothing but which is present over here. Now the RO is given as 1 upon slope, which is equals to RO is given as 1 upon slope at your Q point, that is nothing but delta VCE by delta IC upon delta IB, which is equals to 0. Now your RO is given as 40 to 80 kilo ohms. So now your BJT is a current control device. Now output current IC is controlled by the input current IB. Since your IC is equals to HFE IB or beta IB, hence if there is a variation in beta, if there is a variation in the input current, there will be a variation in the output current, as simple as it could be. Now this characteristic of the transistor is shown in the model by a dependent current source, that is by showing a dependent current source over here, HFE IB over here, that is nothing but beta IB. Now beta or your HFE, it is one and the same beta. Its range is from 20 to 300. Now 6 point, that is nothing but your VB. Now over here we'll prove some relation which will give you a new component today. Now when your VB, that is nothing but your input voltage, when that input voltage varies, can I say there is a variation in your IB, that is nothing but your input current? If there is a variation in your input current, then there is a variation in your IC over here. If your IC, that is nothing but your output current, varies, then can I say due to this relation, if your IC varies, can I say your VCE will vary? If your VCE will vary, but of course your output would vary, but then again your VC is taken via feedback, and then your width of base, that is nothing but B, will vary because of early effect. If that is the case, if your width of base varies, then your IB varies again. Similarly, Now, what do you say? We'll just read out the statements now. As your VBE varies, your IBE varies. IB varies since IC is equals to beta IB. Your IC now also varies. This changes VCE. Now, variation in VCE changes reverse bias potential across JBC. This causes variation in the base width. That is nothing but what do you say? Which finally changes IB over here. It means change in output, that is nothing but VCE, causes a change in input. Now, this indicates there is a feedback between the input and the output, between the output to the input. Now, this internal feedback of BJT is represented in the model by connecting a resistance R mu between the input and output. So, for the very first time, you are looking a connection between base and collector by a feedback resistor being termed as R mu over here, the range of which is from 4 to 8 mega ohms. Now, till now, the model developed is useful for MF and what do you say LF analysis. But since we are studying HF analysis, so it becomes important for us to develop the HF model now. So, let us see what is something new in your HF model. Now, as you can see over here, just a moment, beta. Now, as you can see over here, this is a connection JBC between the base and the collector terminal over here, and there is since the JBC the junction JBC is reverse biased, that means there will be a depletion region across it. If there is a depletion region, that means there will be no movement of holes from this side to this side, while there will be no movement of electron from this side to this side. So now, if your junction JBC is reverse biased, this causes an appreciable depletion region to exist across the junction. Now, this depletion region does not have any free electron in it. Therefore, this behaves like an insulator and works as a dielectric. Now, while if you can simply compare it with an capacitor, it's almost the same diagram wherein the capacitor has like the capacitor having two plates over here and the middle one being acting as an insulator over here. Now, this behaves like an insulator and works as a dielectric, while P region and N region works as plate with positive and negative charges. Now, this forms a capacitance between C dash and B dash. This is known as transition capacitance, known as CT or C mu over here. Now, last point. So between CT and C mu, between between C dash and B dash, we will be connecting a capacitor named as CT or C mu, the name of which is known as transition capacitance. So between B dash and C dash, we will be connecting a capacitor CT or C mu, the range of which is from 2 to 5 picofarad. Now, at your LF, that is nothing but your low frequency. If you recollect, this is nothing but a simple low frequency, while this over here is a high frequency. The high frequency means there is more number of signals per second, and over here at low frequency, that means there is enough time for a single cycle to complete. Now, time per cycle is more in LF, so therefore time available for the electron to diffuse through your junction JBE over here in your forward bias junction JBE is more. Therefore the time available for the electrons to diffuse through JBE, move through the base region and drift to the collector is large. Now, but at the high frequency, time per cycle is less. Therefore, now for the very first time, the holes get accumulated. I'll read the statement beta. Electrons coming from emitter did not get enough time to diffuse through JBE. Similarly, holes coming from the base did not get enough time to diffuse through the forward bias JBE over here. Now, this causes accumulation of electrons on E side of JBE, while holes get accumulated on B side of JBE over here. This phenomenon of charge storage around the forward bias JBE is represented in the model by a capacitor between B dash and E dash, known as diffusion capacitance C pi or CD over here. Now, The final BJT model with the transition and diffusion capacitance is as shown over here, wherein this one was included as CD or C mu or C pi, as we just read over here, that this one is known as diffusion capacitance, the range of which is from 100 picofarad, is approximately 100 picofarads, and over here this was the transition capacitance over here. So this over here exactly is the the exact HF model. We have developed each and every component over here, and we haven't skipped to the final diagram. We have taken time to discuss each and every component over here. Now we need to develop some kind of approximate model so that it becomes easier for us to do it while we perform some basic analysis over here. Now C pi and C mu are known as internal stray capacitances of your BJT, and HF model of BJT is equals to MF model plus your internal capacitances over here. As you would have seen, up till before this two diagrams, we had said that the model which was developed until the previous part was very much applicable for MF and LF, but due to the inclusion of these two diagrams over here, the model is now turned out into an HF model, and C pi and C mu are known as internal stray capacitances of BJT. Now, your HF model of BJT is given as MF model plus your internal capacitances. Therefore, your approximate HF model. Now, in the exact model, above, your RB, RE, RC can be taken as short because they are very small, in very much chintu beta. They are of the range 5 to 100 ohms, 2 to 5 ohms, and then over here 2 to 5 ohms. So they are very much small in number. So they can be taken as short circuited. R mu and R0 can be taken as open. R mu and R0 over here can be taken as open because they have a very high value. Now, if that is the case, then your diagram turns out to be something like this, wherein your B is equals to wherein your B dash now becomes equals to B, your C dash now becomes equals to C, and your E dash, that is the diagram over here, your E dash now becomes equals to E over here. So this is an approximate HF model over here. We'll be developing some more parameters, so yes, please do pay attention, beta. Now, if you look carefully through this diagram over here, then in the over here a simple BJT is being drawn. A simple construction is being drawn, keeping wires into consideration. Now this is the input terminal, wherein this is the output terminal over here. This is the ground terminal over here. Now whenever we do the actual setup, then but of course this are nothing but the wires which are connected from the input to the base terminal. Similarly, the collector will be connected to the output terminal via the simple wires over here. So now, can I say that wires at the input and output of amplifiers are at different potentials? Therefore, there exists a capacitance between wires. Your CWI is known as the input wiring capacitance, and CWO is known as output wiring capacitance, the range of which both of them ranges from 2 to 10 picofarad. Now, over here, if you look carefully, this is the input capacitor, this is the input terminal, this is the ground terminal. So these two terminals act as like a plate of capacitor, wherein this middle section over here acts like a air, which is working as a dielectric. So if you look carefully over here, this part is positive, this part is grounded, so it acts like a the capacitor. Hence the ones which is present over here is known as input wiring capacitor, wherein the one which is connected on the output section is known as output wiring capacitance over here. Now, the circuit diagram of the amplifier with all the stray capacitances, there will be one new extra capacitor which we haven't discussed, that is nothing but your CCE over here. It is present by default when you consider the high frequency configuration. Now, if you look carefully, the CT was connected between your base and collector terminal. The CT can also be named as CBC since it is connected between base and your collector terminal. Your C pi or CD, that was nothing but your diffusion capacitance, is connected between base and emitter, hence the name CBE. Similarly, an output capacitor named as CCE is also being connected, hence I would say that CCE is also present, and Similarly, we have input wiring capacitance and output wiring capacitance. So, if you look carefully, there are two types of capacitors that I have drawn into the circuit diagram. One of them is having straight lines, and as you can see over here for CC1, CC2 and C, and the ones which are having dotted representation, since this dotted representation appears only in high frequency and not in low frequency. So now your CC1, CC2 and CE are known as connected capacitance, and CT, CPi, CCE, CWI, CWO are known as stray or parasitic or fictitious capacitors. Why the word parasitic? Because these are the main culprits which reduces your gain in your high frequency region. Similarly, since they are not visible to the naked eyes, hence they are known as fictitious capacitors over here. Now we need to understand which capacitors are present in which frequency response. So for example, you have three frequency response. Now you have LF, you have MF and you have HF. The ones which we studied up till now was simply MF. So now we'll be dealing with the status of the capacitors in all the three conditions, in all the LF range, the MF range and the HF range. Now first of all, we start with DC over here. Now when we say that the frequency is when it is a DC signal, that means the frequency is 0, it is nothing but a straight line. So your XC is equals to 1 upon 2 pi FC, which is nothing but infinite over here. Now all the which is nothing but 1 upon XC is nothing but 1 upon 2 pi FC, which is equals to infinite. Now therefore all the connected and the stray capacitances are open, since the reactance is infinite. Now your LF, at your LF it is very low frequency, which is nothing but few hertz. So your XC is given as 1 upon 2 pi into hertz into microfarad, which is neither very low nor very high. So the connected capacitance are connected over here. So now let us consider XC over here. XC is given as 1 upon 2 pi hertz into picofarad. Now if you consider this, hertz is normal and picofarad is very much high in number, since it is 10 raised to the power minus 12. When it goes up, it becomes 10 raised to the power 12. So your XC is very much high in nature, so which is very high. Therefore at your LF, the stray capacitors are open. Please do remember that your connected capacitors are considered, wherein your stray capacitances are open at LF. Now let us consider your MF. So MF means your mid frequency, that is nothing but the frequency which ranges from few hundreds of kilohertz over here. Now XC, which is first of all we'll discuss for the connected capacitance. It is nothing but, since the connected capacitances are in microfarad, when you formulate this, it becomes very low in number. Since the connected capacitance ka reactance is very low, we say that the connected capacitors are short over here. Now XC for the stray capacitances is very high, that is nothing but the reactance of the connected capacitances are very high. Therefore we say that the stray capacitors are open in nature. Now at HF, that is nothing but hundreds of megahertz, wherein a high frequency comes into consideration. So the reactance of the connected capacitances is very low in nature. Therefore your connected capacitors are shorted over here. Now your XC, which is equals to 1 upon 2 pi megahertz into your picofarad, is high over here, so which is not very high nor very low. Therefore stray capacitances are neither short nor open, but they are considered over here. So yes, in your HF the stray capacitances are considered, in your LF the connected capacitances are considered, in MF neither connected or connected are short, stray are open, and in DC all the connected and the stray capacitances are open. So it becomes very much simple for my students. Now if you look carefully over here in the diagram, for HF for high frequency, I want to develop a model for this over here. Now for HF, or that is nothing but your high frequency, all the connected capacitors, that is nothing but the seen capacitors, that is nothing but CC1, CC2 and CE, are shorted, as we had discussed for HF over here, that the seen capacitors are being shorted. But all the stray capacitance will remain in the circuit, that is nothing but CWI, CBE, CBC, CCE, CWO, they will remain into the circuit. Therefore can I say that we can apply a Miller theorem over there. So between the input and the output terminal. Now first of all, the capacitor which is a capacitor which is connected between the input and the output terminal. Can I say it is nothing but CBC or your CT over here, which is connected between the input base and the output collector terminal over here. So now your CBC can be Millerized as CMI, that is nothing but input Miller capacitance, as 1 plus AV into CBC across the input port, and CMO, which is nothing but output Miller capacitance, which is nothing but 1 plus AV upon AV into CBC across the output port. Now the DC is shorted, so we get the circuit as follows. So now the circuit over here is going to be represented in this way. Please do remember that RB and RC would be present, and now in between your RB and the input terminals you have to connect all these stray capacitances. Similarly between RC and RL you have to connect all the output capacitances over here. Now the first capacitor that you could include is CBE, which is connected between base and emitter. Similarly we have input Miller capacitance, which we just derived, and the wiring input capacitance, which we need to consider. Similarly on the output, if input wiring है तो आउटपुट वायरिंग आएगा, अगर इनपुट मिलर है तो आउटपुट मिलर रहेगा, अगर इनपुट में बेस और एमिटर के बीच में एक कैपेसिटर है तो सिमिलरली आउटपुट में एक कलेक्टर और ग्राउंड के बीच में बेटा एक कैपेसिटर रहेगा. नाउ रिप्लेसिंग द मॉडल, रिप्लेसिंग योर ट्रांजिस्टर विद अ मॉडल एंड इनपुट वोल्टेज सोर्स विथ योर करंट सोर्स, वी गेट your CI, which is nothing but now what did I do? Since the capacitors are connected in parallel, they just simply add up, so I can, instead of drawing three capacitors, I can have a single CI, which is nothing but CWI plus CMI plus CBE. Similarly I can have a single output capacitance named as CO, which is nothing but the addition of CWO plus CMO plus CCE. So after replacing that this capacitance by the certain single capacitance over, the diagram is being reduced to this format, and your BJT is being replaced by a model over here, wherein your RPi will be there, RB will be there, RS and VS. In order to calculate high frequency, you need to convert your VS into your RS parallel your IS, which is the current voltage transformation, source transformation जो हमने पढ़ा था बेटा in your first year BEE. So and since your RL will be present, the output current flows through RL, and there will be but of course अगर RL के अंदर से IO flow हो रहा है बेटा, so VO भी develop होगा over here. Now so this was the development of the AC the high frequency model of BJT along with AC analysis. So in the next part we'll start with the theory, and we will also discuss along the MOSFET characteristics and MOSFET parameters, and we'll also begin with the numericals. So yes, up till then please be stay safe and thank you bacha.